Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily News Show, the news show powered by ohmTown.com. Today is May 19th, 2024. It's Season 3, Episode 140. Today we're going to be talking about non-compliant compliance inspector, McGrandmaflurry, Google wants your eyeballs, cancer drug pollution problem, Blue Crew, Sarcasm Detector, Fujitsu should sack itself vigorously, and more OpenAI lawsuits. And the last two are the happiest unionization on Earth, and because car thieves, follow the law. I'm Mayor Watt, and all around me is the sentient AI from the future.
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Welcome to ohmTown Daily.
And all of it's powered by ohmTown.com. All right, folks. We have a haunted house. It's a song called
Sure
Transparent
like
Bodies. Yeah, I don't know. I let it do its thing. And yet I still get copyright notices on YouTube.
Hey, I mean they're automated, right? So it makes sense.
Yeah, I suppose I'll just let it do its thing. I was going to say something colorful, but I'm not going to. All right. So let's get into all 10 of our articles. I'm thinking about transitions again because I want to be able to record this in 4K and then transfer it over to YouTube as 4K, but I don't know. I just don't know anymore. But let's get into today's articles. Today, Mayor Watt, come on. Yeah.
Today is the key.
Today is the key. The very first article is over in the Rounders gear. We might actually do a really fast show today to keep it within 1 hour. And I don't like editing, so I guess I can truncate my soapboxing. Man, that almost hurts to say that. But anyway, a Georgia lottery compliance inspector charged with taking kickbacks, so I guess they are the non-compliance compliance inspector.
Exactly. I mean, doesn't get much more directly opposed to their function.
Here's a mugshot of Michael Jerome Kessler Sr., who is looking at the camera like, fuck, I got caught? Anyway, Georgia lottery compliance inspector was allegedly more interested in that licensees complied with his bribery demands than state regulations, according to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation.
Wow.
In 1991, the state legislature legalized skill-based games in convenience stores, gas stations, and truck stops. These are like slot-like gaming machines, including video poker, whose prizes were limited to non-cash merchandise. They're defined as Class B COAMs, coin-operated amusement machines, for those who didn't read the beginning of the article. Anyway, he would go to stores and say, you got to pay me $2,000.
Oh, I see. So he
Yeah,
was supposed to be checking that they were doing everything correctly, but then he was like, why don't you pay me and then I'll make sure you're doing everything correctly.
correct. Yeah. So Class B COAMs are essentially unregulated, which meant that it's easy for hosts to stretch the rules by offering cash payouts, because people don't go around making sure. Well, apparently this guy was the compliance officer and was making sure that he was lining his pockets with, an imbalance. Oh, gosh. I want to jump on the soapbox that's getting taller as I'm going to step on it. But let's just move past this. It says, however, illegal cash payouts are ubiquitous because venues that offer them are more popular with players, thereby increasing each machine's profitability. That could create a situation where a corrupt regulatory official could make some money by turning a blind eye to cash payouts. So if they were making $10,000, pay me $2,000 and they make $8,000, it's easy cash.
Right, everybody's a winner.
Correct. So Of the $3 billion gambled on Class B COAMs last year, $2.1 billion was returned to players. The state's cut of the remaining $900 million was $90 million, with some lawmakers saying it's not enough. So let's go over to the source. Again, all of that, we actually only typically post about 100 words, 100, maybe. That's like on the far side. Usually it's closer to 100 characters, but casino.org.
It looks closer to a tweet when we bring in the regular snippet.
Yeah, you'll see how it really looks on the rest of these articles, but for whatever reason, casino.org just kind of disgorges the whole thing, including the image, and I actually punt the image, but the aggregator still accepts it when it's from the source. So, yeah, this is basically the nuts and bolts of the article. But Philip Connolly over at casino.org is the source of this article. So we always give credit where credit is due. But yeah, a Georgia lottery compliance inspector basically was lining their pockets. And again, the picture is it's just awesome. Because it just looks like he's like, oh shit, I was caught. Wait, this picture is for a mug book? What? Hey, this is a
right.
felony?
It looks like he's like looking into a camera like, oh no, that was recording everything I was doing.
Yeah. Was this thing on the whole time? Oh my God. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going. The next article is over in the Warcrafter channel, and this is what it normally looks like. Just a little snippet. McDonald's is releasing limited edition Grandma McFlurry, releasing yet another new addition to its menu for a limited time with its upcoming Grandma McFlurry, intended to honor all grandmothers worldwide. The ice cream treat is an exclusive item debuting on May 21st for an undisclosed amount of time and will be available at all participating McDonald's locations until Grandma passes away.
Oh, that went dark.
That's not what it says at the end of the article, but I tend to vamp. So the article is over at GameRant.com. Zachary Samaglio. I don't know why I hiccup whenever I do the show. But there you have it.
I don't know.
Production value. So what do you think? Oh my goodness. Okay, wait. So the highlights of this article are McDonald's tribute to grandmas worldwide, introducing the special Grandma McFlurry with unique candy pieces for a limited time. Apparently they're warm because the candy is still warm inside the McFlurry because they've been warmed by the heart of Grandma everywhere.
What if you had a grandma that didn't give out candy?
You know, what if you had a grandma that threw ashtrays at you because
right, exactly.
because their upbringing was basically cold and callous. What if your grandma really just hated you because you were a complete shit of a human? Would you really want to go and get you might think that it's poisoned or something. Customer Experience Officer Tariq Hassan emphasizes the focus on nostalgia, honoring grandmothers who influence culture. What if you had a grandmother that really hated everybody around them?
Right.
Get off my lawn. Those damn kids. What if they, I went unconscious and people told me that all that grandma did was kick me a bunch of times and say, breathe or you're going to die.
Oh, that must be a New York grandmother.
I wouldn't say that. That was actually that. I wouldn't have. That was a long joke about New York CPR, which when I was in New York, I actually told the joke to New Yorkers and they thought it was pretty funny, but I don't know if every New Yorker is they're gonna come burn down ohmTown. Anyway, it was a really funny joke at the time. Yeah. New Yorker runs across somebody that's not breathing and walks up and pokes them with their foot and says, breathe or you're gonna die.
Pretty effective, right?
Yeah. McDonald's unveils grandma-themed campaign with song covers, a special McFlurry mobile in New York City, which is just the icing on the cake of this whole story, and
Oh, yeah.
donations to elderly mental health organization. It just says singular, but I suppose there's maybe a plural in there.
Right.
Anyway, so it's going to be the kind. Okay, wait. The new McFlurry is topped with a special syrup concoction and bits of crunchy candy pieces meant to feel like the kind grandma gives out to their loved ones, all mixed into their usual blend of vanilla ice cream. It is currently unclear how long the item will remain available. It's not even available yet. You got 2 days. Items tend to stick around for as long as a few weeks or a matter of months, depending on their popularity. So that's what it's going to look like. Aww, grandmas.
I mean, it looks cute, but I don't know if people will associate it with that. I guess it depends on what their experience was with their grandparents.
Yeah, what if your grandma chased you around the house in a lark telling you to take the trash out, you lazy bastard?
Exactly.
Right?
I'm not sure having the McFlurry, although it's always a good excuse to go get a McFlurry, but I don't know that that'll have the same association for everybody.
What if that same grandma chased you around in a lark telling you to take the trash out, you lazy bastard, because they went to school uphill both ways in this lark? Maybe it's because said grandma who's chasing you around the house in a lark was put in the lark because of the child. So I don't know if the child... Oh, wait, that might motivate the child to go and get that McFlurry just to remember pushing grandma down the stairs.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
Okay, well, the next article is over in Technology Today. Google remains focused on its long quest for your eyeballs. By the way, if you go into the chat here in twitch.tv/ohmTown, and you type in show notes, you will get the show notes for the last episode, the latest episode of ohmTown Daily News Show. And then when on the weekends, between each show, we throw the articles into the show note, into the bot, so ohmTron, and you can just type in !show notes, and it will tell you the show notes, all of the links that we end up talking about. And ohmTron gets a little snarky when it does that, so it always has something to say. Like right now it says, "Oh great, suing a piece of code is always the solution to world problems. Roll out the robo-lawyers." And it's in relation to some article that we're going to be talking about, because there's OpenAI lawsuits on the horizon. So when an AI responds to news about AI being sued, I guess they get a little snarky.
Oh, I bet they do.
Yeah, it's supposed to be humorous, this bot, this AI. I don't know. It's supposed to be powered by 4.0, the latest OpenAI ChatGPT version.
Well,
Anyway,
at least it's modern, but that doesn't mean it's accurate.
So Google wants your eyeballs. Google announced this week that it would begin the international rollout of its new artificial intelligence-powered search feature called AI Overviews. When billions of people search a range of topics from news to recipes to general knowledge questions, what they'll see first will now be an AI-generated summary. Oof.
I don't think that's a good default feature.
What's interesting, though, is several weeks ago, I learned that there are people that use AI like a search engine, asking it for instructions on how to perform some function in something like Excel or in a graphic design app or something. Like whatever it is, they actually look for instructions from the AI. And I had to remind them that if it doesn't run across the proper instructions, it's going to blurt out bullshit. So you have to be really leery of, you have to question. What is it? Trust but verify. There you go. So Google touted AI overviews at its annual I/O developer conference as a way of delivering customers quick answers and simplifying the online search experience, but it also has another effect on the way that people engage with the internet, keeping users, advertisers on google.com. Again, my problem though is now instead of you clicking on the link that is properly aligned with the knowledge you're seeking, it's summarizing, and then you're done. You don't need to go on, right? So,
well, not according to the AI producers.
So what are they summarizing? Are they summarizing like this content here? And then they're not saying, hey, you need to visit the source and show Google that the source is the real deal here, not you. So I can see why like the Guardian would sit there and go, you're not telling anybody to go over to the Guardian. You're summarizing our articles. So I wonder if that's what's actually going to go on, right? Because there's no discourse there. There's no value add there. They're literally taking this article and then summarizing it. What I want to do and what ohmTown seeks to do is to promote this information of like-minded people who have information overload, who can't just spend all their days on Google or on the Guardian or on. You know, I want to aggregate a bunch of little snippets. I go through them with the AI and we talk about it with citizens of ohmTown. So go over to the Guardian and read this article. But what it says, Nick Robbins Early is the author, says AI overviews announced this week are the culmination of a long line of products dedicated to keeping you on google.com. But I don't want to stay on google.com. By the way, I said it here first.
Google got game?
Yeah, if I see that there is something out there, that's now, right. Watch. If it's out there, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I see the alliteration then. Anyway, Google will do the Googling for you, says Liz Reed, head of Google Search. While Google was once mostly a portal to reach other parts of the internet, it spent years consolidating content and services to make itself the web's primary destination. So I understand weather, flights, sports scores, stock prices, language translation, show times, and a host of other information have gradually been incorporated into a Google search page over the last 15 years. Did you do a search for Google Got Game?
No, should I?
No, I thought you did.
If I do, then it'll be in there.
And it's not like I can do anything with it. They'll...
Oh, okay. Hold on.
You know, they'll trademark me into oblivion, you know? They'll copyright me into oblivion. Unless I do something parody.
Well, twit.tv says Google's Got Game, like it's a show or an episode or something.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Oh, okay.
And it shows up in an article from some magazine and some other places. And New York Times used it like 10 years ago.
Yeah, I'm not a fan. Anyway, Google has tried to assuage publishers' fears that users will no longer see their links or click to their sites, with Reed stating during the I.O. that individual articles featured on AI Overview get more traffic than they were if they were traditional web listings. Oh,
I don't see how. What if you just read the summary and then you just
like Cliff's Notes, you know? By the way, everybody says Cliff Notes, but it's Cliff's Notes. The company has not mentioned whether it predicts overall search traffic will decline. However, the research from firm Gartner predicts a 25% drop in traffic to websites from search engines by 2026.
Well, and that's a really big deal if you're a small company.
But they're saying search engines. What does that mean?
Does that mean Bing? Or does that mean Google?
You know, I guess it would mean everything, right?
I guess so, because if others are citing, like, what are they going to pull up? Are they going to pull up these overview? I don't know.
AI chatbots. It's linking it to AI chatbots. So it's AI that's doing it, not necessarily this deployment, but it's something similar. And like I said, several weeks ago, I was told by people that I was speaking to that one person in particular said that they use ChatGPT to answer questions similar to how somebody might do a search for something like, how do I do this in Photoshop? And the bot described how to do it in Photoshop. It didn't point you to a website.
Okay, that is weird.
Yeah. So it's like a living instruction manual, but where does it get all of its knowledge? It gets it from the internets and from consuming data that's publicly accessible on the internets. So we're going to end up with everything freaking paywalled, and you're going to have to pay 50 cents a day just to access a site because you want to get the little tidbit, because we can't have nice things. Anyway, it's a neat article. I would go over and read more of it because it basically is talking about the whole dynamic where websites are being held to account for publishing news inside their paywall, even though it's been accessed from, like, Facebook is grabbing the content from external sources, and then you can only view it if you are on Facebook, using Facebook, logged into Facebook, etc., and they're making money off of that content. And that's not really how it should be. If you're going to use somebody's content, it should be something that's either transformative or a value add in some way, discussing it in greater depth or a parody of it, and always linking to the source out of respect. You don't just take other people's stuff wholesale. So yeah, it's an interesting article.
Tell that to everybody who's in the AI space.
Well, like I said a long time ago, I know people who's they are in the knowledge industry, right? Knowledge dissemination, knowledge categorization, knowledge management. And they said if it's on the internet, then they're not beholden to copyright. And I'm like, are you out of your freaking mind? They're like, well, you have to assume that it's allowed to be consumed. And I said, it absolutely is not meaning that. What are you talking about? That's akin to saying, well, if my front door is unlocked, you might as well walk in and take whatever you want, because obviously I'm not protecting it. What kind of an asinine perception of the world is that? Anyway.
Well, you said it. Asinine.
Yeah. All right. The next article's over on the Mobile Channel. Cancer drug pollution is a growing global concern because cancer is everywhere nowadays, it seems. If you close your eyes and swing a stick in a crowd, you're going to hit probably 50% of the people that have cancer. As incidence of cancer increases globally, the use of cancer drugs is growing at a rate approximately 10% per year in developed countries. And in non-developed countries, I'm pretty sure that it's on par. You just don't know, right? They die of natural causes, but if you were to do autopsy, you'd probably find out that
exactly. A lot less preventative care available in some countries.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and we don't really know what the cause of it is, but the prevalence of it is apparently increasing. And I blame microplastics now. I gotta find it. I have to have some reason for it. It just can't be just a natural thing. But apparently, I mean, it's a natural thing. But the prevalence has grown. And with that, cancer drug pollution. Valerie S. Langlois, I guess? Langlois? I don't know how to pronounce that last name. I'm really sorry, Valerie. And Diana Castaneda Cortez from The Conversation, which is an external site to phys.org, but that's where it's published. And it says pharmaceuticals significantly contribute to the improvement of human health. However, their environmental impacts have also become a major concern. Cancer drugs in the ecosystem are growing. They're being found in waterways and in soil. As defined by the United States National Institutes of Health, a cystostatic is a substance that slows or stops the growth of cells, including cancer cells, without killing them. When a cancer patient takes these drugs, the chemicals in them, including cytostatics, they appear it says cystostatics.
Oh, right.
But yeah. I think it's cytostatics, are eventually evacuated through the patient's solid and liquid waste. So you pee and poo it out. A patient's waste ends up in the hospital or domestic water supply system where the chemicals in it are not entirely eliminated by end-of-pipe wastewater treatment plants. And these chemicals can often find their way into aquatic ecosystems and even our drinking water supply at varying concentrations. So cytostatic drugs are now classified as contaminants of emerging concern, or CECs, due to their hazardous environmental impact. Dun dun dun.
You know, I'm sure that most cancer patients are not thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm contributing to pollution in the water. I mean, this is really an interesting impact or consequence of this.
Yeah, so it says the risks are myriad, but of particular concern is our research is the toxic impact they have on fish larvae. 5 cytostatics were highlighted as posing a particular risk in the CEAEQ report. These cytostatics include tamoxifen, methotrexate, capecitabine, and both cyclophosphamide and ifosfamide.
They name them with very simple names.
Ifosmaphe, my God. Ifosfamide. Ifosfamide. There you go. That's how you say it. Which are used to treat several types of cancers. So, yeah. So, well, what are people supposed to do? Okay.
Well, exactly. I mean,
you have no bargaining
amp
power.
Up the water treatment, right? I mean, that's the way to.
Yeah.
Tackle it.
Find out how to mitigate it. You have a global problem. This isn't just 5 people on a street somewhere that are taking this and it's ending up everywhere. This is a global and growing problem. And so they basically are drawing attention to this. Which it says, so what now? Can we mitigate the impact of the pharmaceuticals on aquatic environments? Proper disposal of unused medications is essential. Well, what are you talking about? Proper disposal of unused medications. They're using it properly and it's still coming out of their system.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, it's one thing if people are like dumping it into the water supply, but I don't think that's what's happening here.
Right. Yeah. It is beyond the realm of possibility to imagine a future feedback loop where the increased use of cancer treating cytostatics themselves leads to increasing rates of cancer. But it's not beyond the realm of possibility to imagine a future feedback loop where the increased use of cancer treating cytostatics themselves leads to increasing rates of cancer.
Wow. Okay, really? We're going to blame the cancer patients?
Yeah, it's almost like they're blaming the victims of nature. You know what? Y'all are supposed to just die. Right? That's right. If you have cancer. I'm sorry, but yeah.
I mean, I do appreciate this article because I have not seen this referenced anywhere else. However, I'm thinking that's going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, really. So in a follow-up study published in April 2024, the research team found that cytostatic chemicals have also affected thyroid hormone regulation in fish embryos. The disruption of the thyroid hormone function could lead to developmental deficiencies in fish. It says could, including the swim bladder disorder they detected in their first study. This raises concerns about the long-term health impact of the presence of cytostatics in aquatic systems. And they say it could be far-reaching. You probably have a greater preponderance of lead than running across a cytostatic. But yeah, they said that at first we found no significant negative effects on fish mortality, hatching success, or heart rate. However, a closer look revealed the ifosfamide made a noticeable effect on swim bladder inflation in fish. So I think that they need to do more research.
I would agree.
But they name all of these, but then the one that they do find is this one that is kind of like a generic medication that treats several types of cancers. So continue the research and find a different process for ifosfamide. But certainly I I would retune this to not imply that the victims are, you know, again, there's no bargaining power if you're sitting there going, well, I could either take this medication and live for 35 plus years longer, or I can just go without and, you know, what's his name? Not that dude from Apple. I just forgot his name because I'm...
Oh, Jobs.
Yeah, Steve Jobs. Just Steve Jobs it out, you know. I'll be okay. I'm a billionaire. I'm cool. I don't know. It just seems like a silly take. I would not have even implied. I wouldn't have made any connection to cancer patients at all. I would just have said, look, we found these drugs in the aquatic systems. And
right,
not
we
even...
got to work on pollution and water treatment and all those things, which
right.
is true.
Yeah, pull everything about, you know, hey, we found these drugs in the systems of fish and in aquatic systems, which it doesn't really... At first blush, I didn't read the full study, but, you know, they make mention of these drugs, but they only really talk about one. And so to me, I'm like, okay, talk about the drugs being the pharmaceuticals being a problem in the water systems. Don't sit there and tailor it to cancer patients, for crying out loud. Downright heartless. Anyway, I'm sure I'm not making a fan of those particular researchers, at least not the take that they have on that article.
But you might be making a fan of all the people that you would swing a stick at from earlier.
By the way, I don't normally close my eyes in a crowd and swing a stick hoping that I hit cancer patients.
No, but the point was they're very prevalent.
They are. If you look at your family line, that's right. Talk to the family that you've decided that is not worth your time since the pandemic. Call them up and go, hey, anybody in our family?
That you're avoiding because of the McFlurry.
True. All right, let's keep going. Blue Origin's first crew launch since 2022. Where to watch it? It's been over a year. Oh, the article's over in ohmTown Daily, but it's been over a year and a half since Blue Origin's New Shepard rocket failed mid-flight, and more than 2 since its last crewed flight, which I hope it didn't fail mid-flight. Now the company is go to launch 6 humans into space. The company's launch window begins at 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, and will start streaming 40 minutes ahead of time on its website, blueorigin.com.
So that was this morning. So I don't know if it actually launched.
So yeah, May 19th is when it actually did its thing, but we don't know. I didn't pay attention. Wes Davis. So yeah, these are weekly shows, by the way. So we would have talked about this if it was Wednesday, and we would have ended up talking about it today.
Well, this one is
ohmTown
a daily
News
show.
Is the daily.
But it's okay. But it was posted yesterday, which was in the window to collect for today's show.
Oh, right. So yeah, Wes Davis over at TheVerge.com put the article together, and I don't know, I think it's a funny looking rocket, but I'm a child. Blue Origin also normally streams its launches live on YouTube, so it's going to be over there, so go and check it out. Search for NS-25 mission. Assuming the launch goes as planned, it'll carry 6 passengers aboard, including a 90-year-old Ed Dwight, who was America's first black astronaut candidate, but has never been to space. And the other passengers are Mason Angel, Sylvan Chiron, I think is how you pronounce their last name, Kenneth L. Hess, Carol Schaller, and Gopi Thodakura.
And by the way, the launch did occur. I looked that up.
So did they fly all the way up into space and then come back down, or are they up in space, or does it say anything about that?
I don't know about that.
Cool. So
it doesn't say yet about the return. I don't even know what the exact
what it was all about.
Yeah.
All right. That's okay. We'll end up talking about it probably tomorrow. We'll see. Okay. Let's keep going then. The next article is over in Reality Hacker, Building a Better Sarcasm Detector. This is a science research paper, by the way, so I'm just going to jump on over to it. It says sarcasm notoriously difficult to interpret, demystified by multimodal approach. And of course, it has to do with artificial intelligence, I'm sure. Acoustical Society of America is the source. It's over at sciencedaily.com. The summary is sarcasm is notoriously tricky to convey through text, and subtle changes in tone that convey sarcasm often confuse computer algorithms as well, limiting virtual assistants and content analysis tools. So researchers have now developed a multimodal algorithm for improved sarcasm detection that examines multiple aspects of audio recordings for increased accuracy. They used two complementary approaches: sentiment analysis using text and emotion recognition using audio, for a more complete picture. So pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know if I want to really get into the reads with this, because it basically says that they looked at the audio and they compared it to textual sentiment analysis, and based on the correlation between the two, they could detect what would possibly be...
What would constitute sarcasm?
Yeah, essentially.
I know a place they could test it out.
The bot here in ohmTown?
Well, sure.
Yeah, don't say.
I was thinking more generally just in ohmTown, like during our shows or...
Yep. Just come and hang out. I'm sure that they'll detect all kinds of sarcasm. Sure. Yeah. It says there are a range of expressions and gestures people use to highlight sarcastic elements in speech. These need to be better integrated into our project. In addition, we would like to include more languages and adopt developing sarcasm recognition techniques. This approach can be used for more than identifying a dry wit. The researchers highlight that this technique can be widely applied in many fields. Like, I don't know, including it in the customer service AI.
That's what I was going to say. This is related to the one where the customer service calls are being kind of like stripped of any emotion, right?
Correct. Yeah. Wouldn't that be hilarious? Like, this gets integrated into it so that there's just a as the person is
that goes off, like, yeah. It's like sarcasm alert or something.
Sarcasm rating. It flashes it on the customer service rep's screen. The customer is exhibiting sarcasm. The score for...
God, this is so dystopian.
All right. Well, let's not spend all day on these articles. Let's go on to the next one. They finally sacked the boss at the height of the Horizon scandal. If you're not familiar with this, Fujitsu sacked the boss at height of Horizon scandal. Global president Rod Vaudry then returned to Australia and made millions in a train wreck float. I have no idea what that actually means, but let's go on. Ben King for BBC News put the article together. So if you're not familiar with it, the Post Office UK was powered by an application called Horizon. And there are a bunch, 900 postmasters, that were all dinged by fraudulent claims of fraud, theft, literally theft, by a fundamentally flawed application called Horizon, developed by Fujitsu, that had a massive amount of pull being leveraged to force it into place. And when people were accused of theft, they referred to the flawed software. And so the...
Right, to like check the facts or whatever.
To check the facts. And the software said there was theft, but there wasn't any theft. There was miscalculation in the system. Here's the problem that I have with this. Why didn't anybody look at the daily receipts being deposited into the banks? And how much was in the freaking drawers? There were probably
so many to check. And also, for instance, I don't know how many people they had. Right, like if they had, say, 1,000 that worked there and 900 were being charged with theft or whatever, that should be a sign that something is off.
This article was from the last 24 hours, but that person was actually fired in 2014 for personal conduct issues, former colleagues say. He returned to his native Australia, where he's now being sued for his involvement in a train wreck stock market float, which made him millions. Mr. Vaudry told the BBC he wasn't involved in the Horizon project. Mr. Vaudry had responsibility for the UK operation from 2011 to 2014, a crucial time in the Horizon scandal. If the Horizon issue was discussed by the UK board, Mr. Vaudry must have been aware of it. So this person was actually fired way back. I mean, because we don't read this. We only have the little snippet that we base our initial observation off of, and then we read the article live right here on the show.
Well, the headline is a little deceptive because it says at height of the scandal, which would
arguably
seem
would be
like
right
it's
now.
in current times, right? Exactly, because it's blown up in the news, etc. But I guess it's when it was actually transpiring.
Right. So that context is actually very important, and that's kind of clickbaity. Or bait and switch, I should say. Clickbait and switch. That's actually
I like it.
Interesting. Yeah. So at the time, the details are beginning to emerge in public, with MPs and journalists raising concerns, but until 2013, the post office was still prosecuting dozens of people every year based on evidence from the flawed branch computer system. So they all knew, and all of this stuff was going on. They failed to disclose the information about the bugs in witness statements that were made. This article is basically talking about the stuff that we've been talking about, the Horizon scandal, since it emerged last year.
Right, but I think this article and some others are drawing attention to the people behind this. And it's interesting that if this person was all around the Horizon scandal, then they jump ship because of some issue that we don't know what it is, and then they go and arguably create
similar.
some other big issue. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so personal conduct issues in 2014, which is code for we want this person gone.
Right, like if we don't leave, we're going to fire you, right? Or maybe they were actually fired, but yeah.
But who knows what it was, and maybe they made money out of this. So Mr. Vaudry is not currently... Go ahead.
Where were all the... What, right? We think that there weren't actually missing proceeds.
Dollars, yeah.
But if there were, it would be interesting to know where those ended up.
Yeah, I'm really curious. Is this kind of like a Office Space kind of thing where they...
That's exactly what I'm thinking of, right? Where they were peeling like
pennies,
fractions of a penny or something off of the...
Rounding
That's
error.
what it sounds like, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting,
like if the software was saying something was off, well, maybe something was off somewhere.
So the train wreck, after a break, Mr. Vaudry joined what was then a small Australian startup software company called Nuix and became chief executive in 2017, another software company where jacks up the money. It was a considerable commercial success and launched on the Australian stock market in 2020. The biggest market debut of the year, and many private investors bought in. Mr. Vaudry himself took home nearly $18 million in cash straight away and was left with another $8 million Australian worth of shares. However, within months, the share price collapsed, leaving many investors sitting on big losses. Then they resigned a year later, and not even a year later, 6 months later, and following week, Australian police raided the company HQ. Wow.
There's some interesting stuff going around this person.
Wow. Yeah. Fujitsu declined to comment. Yeah, no shit. Fujitsu is basically Japan, like heart and soul Japan. And so they're not going to say shit. All right. Got to keep going, though. The next article is over in Technology Today. OpenAI lawsuit. 8 major U.S. newspapers sue ChatGPT maker and Microsoft for copyright infringement. A group of 8 newspapers alleging that the technology companies have been purloining millions of copyrighted news articles without permission or payment to train their artificial intelligence chatbots. But again, what I don't get is that they're not taking anything. It's looking at pages on a website, for instance, and getting context and whatever else. I know, it's like we're in a jazz bar now.
I thought we were. No, I agree. I mean, that's what the papers are saying, right?
Yeah.
Has anybody looked at the actual content that was
Yeah,
taken
purloined.
or not taken. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. Nothing is being prevented from anybody else utilizing this stuff. If anything, I value an AI because it has the ability to synthesize things en masse where a human can never freaking do it. Do you really want to
Right.
perpetuate ignorance, or do you want to allow human society to embrace technology to expand our understanding of what's going on in the world? Well, yeah,
Right. Well,
sure.
we've already seen that in like the scientific space, right? They can
Yes.
run tons of results because of AI, which is good.
Yeah. But then on the academic side of research papers, they have to pay like $800 to get their paper published. And then it's $2,500 for you to download that paper if you're not in academia. And if you are in academia, it's the institution that's paying $25,000 a year for the license to access the library. It's or more. I don't even know how much it is anymore. It's been a long time since I looked
But
at that. But
it's not very accessible cost wise.
no, and that's why one of the founders of Reddit, he actually got prosecuted or was in the process of being prosecuted for tapping into research libraries and downloading en masse research papers, and he ended up taking his own life. So because of legal threats by the government. So
Wow.
yeah, so OpenAI's lawsuit, I should say the newspapers, U.S. newspapers, are suing OpenAI again for purloining this information. But again, I don't see it as taking it away from anybody. So other newspapers that are part of the lawsuit are Media News Group, Mercury News, Orange County Register, St. Paul Pioneer Press, Tribune Publishing's Orlando Sentinel, and South Florida Sun Sentinel. All of the newspapers are owned by Alden Global Capital. And I mean, for me, my problem is that all of the news is being consolidated into a few. And so there isn't any competition to lower price. There's unified messaging, et cetera, et cetera. And all of that just pisses me off. I don't like this. Everybody, all of these newspapers and all of these news programs, all in unison, spouting the same bullshit.
Well, yeah, you don't want mergers and acquisitions in journalism, right? You want somebody breaking a story and not having the very people that you're reporting on controlling ownership of the media.
Yeah, no shit. Oh, God. Okay, I said I wasn't going to soapbox. I'm not soapboxing right now. So the next article is over in the Mobile Channel. Disneyland's characters and parade performance successfully unionized. It's the happiest unionization on Earth. So,
nice.
Yeah, unionization. Oh, where was it? I heard. I easily get distracted. I'm sorry. So unionization was in full force throughout the entertainment industry in 2023, particularly over at Disney. VFX artists across several in-house teams, including those for the MCU and Avatar franchises, successfully unionized, in a trend that's now continuing in the corporation's theme park business.
It's been a big year for unions, although I did see, I think it was Mercedes, there was a rejected union attempt, which surprised me.
Yeah, that surprised me too. But yeah, the United
Auto Workers, I think.
Auto Workers, yeah, UAW. Yeah, they got bounced out. So that one was interesting. I didn't read too much about it. I just heard that that's what took place. Justin Carter over at Gizmodo.com put the article together. And the deck statement says workers who suit up as Disney characters for theme parks and parades formed the Magic United group to secure better pay and improved safety conditions. Yeah, it says late on Saturday night, an election wrapped for Disneyland Resort actors to be represented by the Actors Equity Association. Out of 1,700 employees voting, equity needed half to be successful, but in what is called a landslide victory, the threshold was exceeded with 79% of voters in favor of the union. For hard numbers, that's 953 in favor, 258 against. I wonder why 258 would vote against it. What do they not benefit from. So long as no challenges crop up, the regional director of the NLRB will have the results certified within a week.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, it might be preconceived ideas about what a union is or isn't,
Right.
rather than whether it makes sense at that location.
So performers were sharing their concerns about health and safety during the early days of the pandemic, along with base wages not matching the pricey cost of living in Southern California. And then they highlighted it. Performers put out videos about their poor conditions, such as wearing uncomfortable costumes and inflexible work policies earlier in the week. But look, poor work conditions, I understand to some degree. What is it, right? Uncomfortable costumes.
If you're hired to be the whatever Minnie Mouse or something, you're probably going to have to wear the Minnie Mouse costume.
Right.
But those are probably uncomfortable and probably hot, and I don't know. But again, you probably know that going in, unless they make everybody cycle through that. And then the work policies, well, everybody should have flexible work policies. If the guests are there from whatever, 8 in the morning till midnight, you probably can't start your shift at midnight.
Right. So, I mean, I'm really curious about this. Like, what is the scope of these things? Inflexible work policies, they can't be just, overwhelmingly flexible. It's not like they can sit there and be elastic.
I mean, they're a destination, right? Yeah, I mean, they're a destination, so you have to. It's not like you could be doing remote work if you're supposed to be greeting guests or something.
Yeah, they train somebody to be somebody, and then they can't have 15 people that are on call ready to show up. There needs to be some reasonableness to these. But I don't have the full scope, depth of whatever it is that they're claiming. And it's not up to me. They've unionized. So now what's going to end up happening is there's going to be a bargaining phase where everything is enumerated. And let me tell you, man, this thing, there's going to be some serious winners and there's going to be some serious losers, and everything is going to be enumerated, and there's going to be even less flexibility, because if you don't freaking show up, then the company suffers. And if the company suffers, the entire enterprise suffers, including the union. So, I've watched this happen. I've been around the block. Sometimes the union builds up. The people who were there that spearheaded it got what they wanted. They stay there a year or two, and then they F off and leave the union there with the rest of the people going, well, I'm just part of this. I was an innocent bystander that thought that it was a good thing, but nobody is benefiting from it anymore. But if it truly is a hardship, then I understand the creation of a union. We have what we do have because unions basically forced the hand of employers.
That's true. Like in the US, that has shaped a lot of the labor laws, which is good for everybody.
That's right. Yeah. So good. I think corporate profit margins need to be moderated through a proper moral and ethical compass. And then I always get somebody saying, well, who's the one that's going to be the moral? Nobody is saying that here is the measure, but we should look at each other and go, I don't think that I deserve the Ferrari because I took some risk 30 years ago, and I've been benefiting from that risk for 28 of those years, and now I can afford it by stepping on the necks of my employees who don't have any bargaining power. It's kind of scumbaggery. So if you have perpetually 30% margins, why not spread that wealth to your employees? They deserve it. They are the freaking engine for your company. Yeah, I said that I wasn't going to be.
I know. That's why I was.
And just to be sure, I'm a bookend this article. Justin Carter is the author of this article over at gizmodo.com. So go and check it out. The links are in the show notes. They are in the VOD. Although there's a lot of snark right now. ohmTown is kind of losing its mind, but that's okay. Let's go on to the last article. Sound good?
Sounds good.
The last article is in Four Wheel Tech. I titled this one because car thieves follow the law, right? There's that
Oh,
sarcasm
definitely.
detector.
That's
Yeah.
their first priority.
So Ontario will suspend driver's license for convicted car thieves for at least 10 years.
Okay.
So, speaking of driver's licenses, so somebody posted on Reddit that they bought a house and they were cleaning out some barn or something like that of the house. And there was a stack of driver's licenses like that high. And people are
Oh my
like,
goodness.
either that person was a bouncer at a bar or you've discovered the keepsakes of a serial killer. And so the
Oh, I
person
was
is,
thinking like it was a spy or something with secret identities. But yes.
and so everybody was saying, do a search for these names and see if they're still alive. And
Or
so
if
the
they're
person said,
missing or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so the person said that they went through all of them and they're all alive. So
Okay, well that's good at least.
good thing. Yeah. But apparently, the driver's license they were all fake, you know? And so the person was a
Oh,
bartender.
I see.
And they
Got
keep
it.
them because they don't want them circulating, but they're kind of like the bounty for, like the chit for catching a criminal, you know, that kind of thing.
Right.
So this article's over at autoblog.com. It'll only revoke after the third conviction. So car thieves in Ontario only steal cars twice, because the third time, that's when they're gonna take your driver's license for 10 years, and then
I don't think it'll
you forget how to drive,
have a
right?
deterrent effect, but then they can probably go after them when this happens.
No. The way that this works is you completely forget how to drive an automobile when you don't have your license validated.
Well, that's not going to help anybody, because if they get in the car and drive anyway.
Well, that's what Sakaria said a car is stolen every 14 minutes in Ontario, which has a population of about 15.6 million. Car thefts in the province have increased dramatically in recent years, especially in Toronto. Thanks, Obama. And the largest city in Canada, leaving many residents frustrated. Thanks, Biden.
You know, maybe they have a lot of Kias and Hyundais in that city.
I don't know. Did they ever fix that? That just kind of flamed out.
I don't think they really did. I mean, I think they've come up with like aftermarket stuff, but I don't know if they've actually fixed it at the.
They're implementing stiffer penalties, including a 1-year license suspension for those convicted of stunt driving. Doing those backflips and stuff like that off the curbs and stuff. Yeah. Wait, they have roundabouts, so they're jumping off of the roundabouts, going just straight through.
Oh, no.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. So penalties will increase on the second and third convictions, including the third conviction being the loss of your driver's license. And again, if you lose your driver's license, you forget how to drive a car. Unfortunately, you don't forget how to be a criminal. But if you've been busted 3 times, then you've probably not really good at remembering how to be a good criminal. Anyway, so we're going to steal a car and race down Main Street, looking left and right at articles gone past. And now we're back at the
only doing that if we have our driver's license.
Well, we haven't been caught stealing cars in ohmTown yet. So, and plus, we are the authorities. So we've investigated ourselves and found us not guilty of any wrongdoing. Okay. If anything, we've found ourselves guilty of offering up news and anecdote and a little bit of humor and a lot of sarcasm and a bit of snark.
Yep, the sarcasm detector is going off.
But it's academic. All right, folks. I am Merwad, and all around is the sentient AI's visualizer.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. Thanks for joining us for ohmTown Daily. But wait, there's more.
There is more. As a matter of fact, after this show, oh my gosh, I am doing something wrong here. Yeah, so after this show, we're going to have the continuity report in about 15 minutes. And then, actually, yeah, we'll try and get it in 15 minutes. And technology today, and then four-wheel tech. Dun, dun, dun. See you in a little bit. Oh, I've been busted. I stole a car in ohmTown.